Hey guys, Wade Willis here for my playthrough of Umineko. This is my 12th part, and things are really heating up here. We're trying to figure out who actually committed these murders, this horrific crime. Ava is the only child of Kinzo left, so it kind of looks like, well, I mean, really, she did have the most to gain from this. And she honestly sketches me out a ton, so she just kind of has that really like creepy voice and seems very manipulative. Could it be her? Well, I mean, I seriously think it was the witch doing everything, but she is the most suspicious to me, and she's trying to put blame on the servants, but that doesn't make sense as to why the servants would do it, in my opinion, and two servants actually died. So we're trying to get to the bottom of this. Battler is kind of like having a conversation with Ava right now, and yeah, Ava's even admitting that she looks suspicious right now. So yeah, I'm going to get into it, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. It helps a ton. Okay, so she's basically saying that the police are going to treat her like the mastermind, which it would look like she would be the mastermind in this situation. Ava shrugged with a bitter smile. It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Ava as it was to suspect her servants. Not really, she's more suspicious. So if we spin the chessboard around, does it make it impossible for the culprit to be her, as suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues toward knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. Or it's a witch. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back to back to front. Are my thoughts bringing me any closer to the truth? Or are they... Aunt Ava didn't want to talk any more than that, so I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool my head a little. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George and others gathered talking. It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see, since Maria was second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant.
多分こんな感じだったと思うで。十字架をアレンジしたみたいなマークが書かれとったんや。そしてこんな感じで外周の円を取り囲むように妙な文字がびっしり書き込まれていて、十字架の上下左右の辺とその四隅にも何か書かれていたんや。
Well, I'm glad they're actually doing this with Maria now, because this was like one of my main complaints of how they were handling everything right from the start. I'm like, yo, like, she's the only person that has witchcraft knowledge, occult knowledge.
アルファベットとかそういうのとちゃうで。あれはよく言う古代文字とかいうやつや。
あと、円周部の頂点に小さなマークがありましたな。小さな丸を5つ十字状に並べ、それぞれを直線で結んだようなマークでした。
ああ、確かにそんなのも書いてあったで。図形的には間違いなくこれや。細かい文字はわからんが、配列はほぼ同じや。
Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I heard, this had been painted on the shutter from the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. I see. This sure is unsettling.
こんなわけのわかんねえもんを書きたがるのは、じいさまだけだろ。
Fair.
まったく、どこに行っちまったんだ。とっ捕まえて意味を聞き出してやりたいぜ。
Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit. but she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting the Ushiromiya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who would know nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning, which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right, the reason the crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case where grandfather had the essential recipient of this message disappeared off to?
こんな図形に何か心当たりはあるかい?
Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the events at hand, as though this thing hadn't been drawn on shutters closed around her mother's corpse.
僕の第一印象ではどこか外国の十字章に似たデザインだなって思ったかな。
Iron Cross, that's exactly what it looks like.
ああ。確かにこんなデザインや。ということはどこぞの国と何か関係があるんか？
その国の十字章はもともと聖地巡礼者を守るための騎士修道士たちの紋章だったそうですな。
つまり、この魔法陣には宗教的な意味があるってことかよ。ますますにちんぷんかんぷんだぜ。
When I looked over at them preparing to jump into the discussion, something shocked me. Maria was smiling, an eerie and incomprehensible expression on her face. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. And she laughed. That eerie, jarring laugh was something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes.
違うよみんな。こんなの見てわかんないかな。
Dang. While everyone was busy scared out of their wits, Maria kept cackling happily to herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria.
これは太陽の7の魔法陣だよ。書かれてる文字はヘブライ語。
Okay.
貸して。
Imagine how thrown off you would be. Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with a rustle right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn.
ね、こんな図形だったんじゃないかな。
そんな図形だった。
マリア、すごいな。さすが詳しいぜ。
Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still Maria that we all knew so well. But Maria didn't answer her in any way particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Nanja saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide.
天地と左右に書かれているのは風化水道を司る天使たちの名。カサン、アレル、フォルラク、そしてタリアハド。そして斜め四方には4代の王たちの名。アリエル、セラフ、タルシス、ケルブ。
Okay.
合ってる？
Even if they had been able to correctly write what they'd seen, when they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again.
間違いない。そうや。確かにこんな文字が書かれとった。なんでこんなん書けるんや。
あと、演習部にも文字が書かれておりましたな。
わかってるよ。こうでしょ。
Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing.
旧約聖書の詩編第116編の16節と17節だよ。聖書くらい読んでなきゃ。
Jeez. Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak.
すごいね。驚いたよ。それで、この魔法陣にはどんな意味があるんだい？
太陽の力を借りる魔法陣だよ。黄金で描き、護符にして身につけたる者はいかなる牢獄であろうとも、束縛から逃れ、自由を得られる力を授けられる。
So that means Beatrice is about to be free for good.
束縛から逃れ、自由を得られる。意味深だぜ。
この束縛という意味は何も肉体的なものだけを指さないと解釈されている。だから縛られて牢屋にいる人ばかりに意味があるわけじゃないよ。しがらみや逃れ得ぬ運命など、精神的な束縛からの解放も意味してるんだよ。
しがらみや逃れ得ぬ運命か、これまた意味深だな。
しかしさっぱりわからん。
Of course you don't, dude.
それとあの6人の遺体とどんな関係があるっちゅうの？
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say these people were sacrificed so that bond could be broken.
束縛からの解放どころか、殺された上に倉庫に閉じ込められてたんやで。
別にその6人のために魔法陣が描かれてるわけじゃないね。魔法陣のために6人はそこにいるんでしょう。お気の毒だよ。
どういう意味だい？魔法陣のために6人がいるってのは一体。
Maria lifted up her pointer finger and wagged it as if she were making fun of us.
それは演習部に書いてるよ。読めないかな？詩編第116編16節と17節。読んであげるよ。
Just, yeah. Everyone casually knows Hebrew in Japan.
主は私の枷を解かれました。私はあなたに感謝の生贄を捧げ、主の皆を呼ぶでしょう。ね？
ねって何を言ってるのかさっぱりだぜ。
生贄だってのか。
Duh. If what Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of a magic circle, then it was saying that the sacrifice had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked and others spat out that this was insane as they punched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing, and we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses others believe in. I won't be picking a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest of sacrifices for crap like that? I couldn't just stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred when we were still discussing my theory about the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off with a feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle of everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday. There was that letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read aloud at last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like like this whole mansion and this whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked inside some kind of bizarre world. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted as the island was shut off by the typhoon, so you really could call this place another world cut off from the real one by now. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters for human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing ghost masks start doing a Bond festival dance or something? Ah, it's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness. The opposing emotions all swirled up together and they started to suck me in. Unable to resist, I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and trust my mind and body started to get sucked in. As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV, and for a while I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this.
なあ、バトラ。どうして悪魔だのオカルトだのってのをわざわざこうして映画にすると思う？ねえからだよ。そんな滑稽なもんは地球のどこにもねえのさ。ねえからわざわざ見たくて作るんだよ。だから俺はオカルト映画なんてちゃんちゃらおかしくて笑っちまうってんだ。俺に言わせりゃ、悪魔やら妖怪やらより、今年度の収支報告や機嫌を悪くした女房の方が1億倍も怖えってもんだぜ。さらに言うぜ。俺に言わせりゃな、怖がるってのは、心と生活にゆとりのある連中の娯楽的感情なのさ。暇でしょうがないから。連中は変わった感情で心を遊ばせたくて、悪魔だの、オカルトだのって文化を作り出したんだよ。
I don't agree with him in the sake of this story, but seriously, why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Don't try to mess with me in this is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on the island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kyrie-san.
チェスや将棋ってね、終盤の終盤、詰めの最後の段階に入れば入るほど最善手は限られてくるのよ。だから自分が追い詰めている、あるいは追い詰められているというその時、両者の手は限りなく読みやすくなるのよ。つまり完全に追い詰められて打つ手なしって思ったその時こそ最も読みやすい瞬間なのよ。
That is very true.
でも守勢に立った人間はどうしても考えが固くなって相手の手を読むことにまで考えが至らない。そういう時はね、チェス盤をひっくり返すの。
With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now my eyes were truly open. When you don't understand anything and you're completely cornered just like I am right now, isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess the culprit scheme. If we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun with securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses into the storehouse. Then was even kind enough to say, here they are, with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit, since this morning they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse, all of that hard work and preparation they did the night before would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces notably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death, so it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear as they had been killed so brutally. Ha! After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who'd dance to that tune? If you told me, please be scared, you can't just say really sure thing. When someone tells the great Ushiromi of Battler, the entrance is here, I'm the kind of guy who will start walking and sneak around through the window. The next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown her knowledge of the occult rival grandfathers, had recognized, that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding the umbrella with one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been all worth that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would have been able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had been written in Hebrew. So the magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with a knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason we couldn't find Grandfather now. I don't know how Grandfather might have spotted this magic circle on the shutter, but did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No, was it a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated? You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting this occult show? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we put off her fake skin first? There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she never left it. It looked as though she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, "Ooh, ooh," and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Definitely not those two. He's too fat. She might know magic. And he's the main character, so I don't think it's him. I mean, it has to be Beatrice, but I kind of feel like she had someone on her side. Maria would have had to... Yeah, I have no idea. Right now, Aunt Natsui searching the mansion with the servants, right? And we shouldn't say in this room. In this mansion where the culprit has to be. After all, it's possible that Aunt Natsui was behind this, and we can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone can be guilty. Still, Aunt Natsui and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking it a little too long just to walk around checking windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Natsui and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing, but our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsui in shock. The talk I'd had with Aunt Ava started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough numbers or weapons to kill all 6 at once.
驚かせてしまいましたね。
Dang!
万が一に備えて持ってきたものです。
Well, it's smart. After all, that thing Natsui's hand was a rifle. At a glance, its silhouette looked like a hunting gun, but it was unusually short and looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had a weightiness that made it clear it was no kid's toy. Is that a sawed-off shotgun?
それは金蔵さんの銃ですな。
ご存知でしたか？そうです。お父様の古いコレクションの中にあったことを思い出し、探し出してきました。
ひゅー、すっげえ。夏日おばさん、それ本物なんすか？
Do you want to find out?
ええ、本物です。実弾を発砲できますよ。昔お父様は野鳥を追い払うのに使ったりしていました。あら懐かしい。どこから出てきたんやら。私がいくら触らせてって言っても指一本触れさせてくれなかったやつよ。
じいさまこんなの持ってたんですか？
He didn't let you touch it because he thought you'd kill him.
知らなかったですよ。
お父様は昔西部劇にどっぷり使ってたことがあってね。
I'm not surprised.
あの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ。
結構年季の入った銃のようですね。でもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました。
ああ、思い出したわ、その銃。懐かしいな。昔好きやった映画のガンマンが派手にぶっ放しとったやつだわ。
It's Steve McQueen.
お父さんも渋いな。
親方様がだいぶ昔に。ご覧の通り実銃ですので、どうかこの件はご内密にお願いいたします。
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入られておりまして、撃つより薬莢を出す動作が面白いらしくて、裏の森でいろいろとカッコつけて遊んでおられたもんですよ。
Has anyone in this house been into the forest? I'm assuming there's the stream they were talking about is in the forest, but whatever.
しかし物騒ね。そんなものまで持ち出しちゃうのかしら。万が一に備えてです。
Are you sure you should be dragging out? 6 people were murdered, yo.
族はおそらく一人ではないでしょう。しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。私には主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
As Natsui-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find grandfather as well as check on the doors and windows. Since grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。ですが万が一ということもあります。みんななるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。そうね。ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が安心だわ。それはどういう意味ですか、エヴァさん。別に夏日姉さんの意見に賛成しただけよ。
There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. But if you think about it, who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint? Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsui was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of grandfather's complicated pranks, and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even grandfather. Also, Aunt Natsui thought the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Ava thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was a question of whether or not a 19th person exists. That's the same question had been repeated endlessly until last night's dinner, with a letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. So was she a culprit among us or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here who share a common bloodline, witch can't exist, is the culprit. If that's too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices? If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. I kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of a seemingly endless rain, none of us can break the silence. Dang, that's a lot of hours later. Lunch ended, the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first it seemed as though Natsui's plan to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told 3 servants to go together. That's not good. Because of that, the servants were the first ones to be given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing us from eating much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
私が洗いますから、源氏さんとカノン君は少し休んでいてくださいな。何か飲みます？
私は結構。カノンは？
僕も結構です。
お二人とも早朝から大変だったでしょう。参ってしまうのも仕方ないことですよ。
The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which sounded through the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean that they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After all, the silence had continued for some time. Kenner opened his mouth and muttered,
Shannon, どうしてあんなひどい死に方を。
死に方のことは忘れなさい。ただ、運がなかっただけだ。
Yeah, that's real bad luck.
そうですね。ただ、運がなかっただけです。
They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief.
シャノンちゃんが死んじゃったなんて、未だに信じられませんよ。本当にかわいそうに。もう会えないなんて嘘みたいですよ。もう一度、あの子の笑顔が見たかったのに。
Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kanner heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
どうしてベアトリーチェ様はシャノンを。
Okay, so they believe it.
生贄が欲しかったなら、他にも大勢いただろうに。どうしてどうして。
ただ、運が悪かっただけだ。少しの運がたがえば、シャノンの代わりにあそこに横たわっていたのは、あるいは他の誰かだったのかもしれない。すべては運命だ。
源氏様、奥様の部屋の扉に血のような跡がついていたとおっしゃっていましたね。シャッターに書かれていたのと同じもので。
気味の悪い跡だった。まるで血のついた指でドアノブを引き抜こうとするかのような。部屋、扉をかき破ろうとしたのか。そんな気味の悪い跡だった。
ベアトリーチェ様が奥様の部屋を訪れて、そして扉を開こうとしたけれど開けなかった。
Genshi thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on Natsui's room. The substance sticking around the door and the marks of something scratching against the door. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door but couldn't.
どうして奥様は生贄を免れたんだ。もし奥様が選ばれてたなら、シャノンは死ななくて済んだのに。
Just then, a loud, sharp noise came from the hall. Both of them turned around surprised.
面白そうな話じゃねえか。俺も混ぜてくれよ。
Before any of the servants realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway of the kitchen.
バトラ様、これは失礼いたしました。
Genshi and Cannon stood up surprised and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion.
便所って言って抜けさせてもらったのさ。ずっとあの部屋に閉じ込められてると窒息しちまいそうだったからな。水でも飲ませてもらおうかと思ったら、面白そうな話が聞こえてきたんでよ。頭なんか下げなくていいぜ。今の話の続きを聞かせてくれよ。
今のは別に。
ちょいと前から話は聞かせてもらってるんだ。今さら隠すなよ。だから、ベアトリーチェってのは何者だ。どうやら、おとぎ話の魔女ってだけじゃなさそうだな。
Cannon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt.
ゆうべまでなら俺は無関係さ。だがな、今朝からは違う。親父たちを殺された時点で、俺は立派な関係者だ。俺にも、そのうさんくさそうな話を聞かせてもらう資格があるはずだぜ。
I glared into Cannon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Cannon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit.
バトラさん、手を離してやってくださいな。別にカノンさんは隠しているわけではないのです。
じゃあ話してくれたっていいじゃねえか。仲間外れたら寂しいぜ。
When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he'd made up his mind to do something. Apparently he had no intention of hiding it.
お話しすることはできます。ただ、バトラ様がお気を悪くなされるかもしれませんので、カノンは躊躇しているのです。
躊躇なんて男らしくねえぜ。内緒にされる方が気持ち悪いさ。聞かせてくれよ。どうせ明日までできることはないんだ。多少はうさんくさい話の方が退屈も紛れるってもんだぜ。
Genji-san and Cannon-kun looked at each other, then nodded as though they decided to talk.
わかりました。何でもお聞きください。お話しします。
ああ。じゃあ聞くぜ。ベアトリーチェってのは一体何なんだ。俺が知ってる限りでは、ロケン島の森に住まう魔女ってことになってる。森に入ると危ないからってんで、 ばあさまあたりが作り出した脅し話だって聞いてる。違うのか？
いえ、違いません。その通りです。ベアトリーチェ様は、六軒島の森に住まわれる魔女であらせられます。
バトラス様、にわかには信じられないでしょうが、ベアトリーチェ様は存在するのです。親方様に莫大な黄金を授け、長いことおそばにお仕えした実在する方なのです。
はあ？よせやい、よせやい。じいさまの受け売りを言うのも給料のうちだってのか？
I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji nor Kanon laughed. Not even Kumasawa, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered as she started washing the dishes. So unfortunately, I was the only one laughing, painfully, bitterly.
なるほど。源氏さんが断るだけはあるぜ。こいつは確かに正気じゃ気を悪くする。つまり、ベアトリーチェっていう名の人物は実在するんだな。
はい。親方様がこの島にお屋敷を構える以前から、ずっとおそらく、私よりも長くお仕えしているでしょ
う。なんてこった。桐江さんの仮説は外れたな。じいさまに、ベアトリーチェという名の腹心は実在したってわけだ。そいつは今、この島にいるんだな。
はい。いらっしゃっていると思います。
曖昧な言い方だな。ってことは、昨日今日そいつの顔を見たってわけじゃなさそうだな。
はい。大変申し上げがたいのですが、その。
Kanon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes.
なんだよ、そこで切るなよ。寸止めみたいで気持ち悪いぜ。
I urged him on, joking again. However, it looked like Kanon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa Bachan whispered.
お顔を見ようにも、ベアトリーチェ様にはお姿がありませんから。
お姿が？なんだって？
ベアトリーチェ様にはお体がありません。ですから、ベアトリーチェ様がお望みにならない限り、私ども凡庸ではお姿を見ることすら叶いません。
ベアトリーチェ様が人の姿をされていた頃の絵が、あの肖像画のものなのだとか。そのお姿を懐かしみ、よく肖像画の前に佇まれているそうな。
ベアトリーチェ様は時折、輝く蝶の姿に身を変えられて現れることがあります。万一、お屋敷の中でお見かけした場合には、決してその後を追ってはならない決まりです。追えば不幸があると囁かれています。
That's what happened to Shannon.
その禁を破り、大怪我をして辞めた使用人も実際にいます。
おいおい、マジかよ。あんたら、本気でそんな話をしているのかよ。
バトラス様、すでにベアトリーチェ様がお越しになっておられます。そのようなお言葉は、よろしくないかと思われます。
ベアトリーチェ様は、ご自身を冒涜される方を好みません。その存在を疑えば、必ずや不幸が降りかかるでしょ
バトラさん、気持ちの悪いお話とお思いでしょ？ですがね、ベアトリーチェ様はいるんですよ。
います。それを疑われることを、ベアトリーチェ様はことのほか嫌われます。
わかりませんか、バトラ様。ベアトリーチェ様は、今すでに、ここにお越しにな。
おいおい、よせよ。俺、そういうのは弱いんだぜ。脅しっこなしにしろい。
However, there was no trace of a joke in their eyes, in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast.
バトラさん、お願いですから、ベアトリーチェ様を冒涜することはおやめください。悪いことは申し上げません。
Kumasawa, who had been usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face.
いるって言われてもよ。俺には何も見えないぜ。今、俺の隣にいるとでも言うのかよ。冗談よせやい。
Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. When I turned around, Maria was standing there at the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her presence felt exactly the same as the servants.
波長の合う合わないは生まれつきだよ。バトラは生まれつき波長が合わないタイプなんだよ。だから見えない。会えない。話せない。ベアトリーチェの一番嫌いなタイプだよ。
Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost as if she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
ベアトリーチェのことが知りたい？ベアトリーチェはね、1000年の魔女なんだよ。あらゆる悪魔を刺激し、錬金術を極め、賢者の石を生み出し、莫大な黄金を生み出すことができる。おじいさまは彼女と契約することで、後ろ宮家に莫大な富を築いたんだよ。昨日私がベアトリーチェの手紙を読んだでしょ？あれは本当なんだよ。バトラに信じろと言っても無理な話だろうけど。六感が生まれつきさっぱりみたいだからね。
なんだよそれ。魔女？悪魔？そんなの誰に聞いたんだよ。
ベアトリーチェ本人に聞いたんだよ。
Maria kept doing the same unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice as though this was nothing more or less than the truth.
マリア、聞くだけ野暮だろうが、もう一回聞くぜ。昨日、マリアにあの手紙を渡したのは誰だ？
ベアトリーチェにもらったって何度言えばわかるかな？わかんないよね。見えないんだもんね。信じられないもんね。
Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
バトラ、まだわかんない？ベアトリーチェ様がいるのが。
いるって、どこにさ？
だからベアトリーチェ様がここにいるのが。
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now that the servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji, Kanon, Kumasawa, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at a spot right behind me. Ooh, this is so creepy. Holding my breath tightly, I looked over my shoulder. Of course there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if someone was there.
ベアトリーチェは1000年を生きた偉大な黄金の魔女。でも、波長の合う人間にしか自分の姿を見せられないし、話しかけられない。だからね、それがとても悲しいんだよ。だからバトラみたいな生まれつき魔法のセンスもかけらのない人に存在を否定されるのがものすごく嫌いなんだよ。バトラは幸運だよ。昨日私にお守りをもらっていてよかったね。それを身につけていなかったら、今頃ベアトリーチェのどんな呪いが身に及んでいたか分かったものじゃない。本当に幸運なんだよ、バトラは。
ああ、あのサソリのキーホルダーかよ。あれって安っぽい景品か何かだと思ってたんだが、ちとはご利益あったってことなのか？
それがなかったら今頃、バトラがあの倉庫の中で顔面を砕かれて生贄にされていたんだよ。幸運だったよ、バトラは。
そうか。あれがなかったら、俺は今頃殺されてたってのか。
なんでバトラはベアトリーチェを信じないの？いるのに。今、そこに、ほら。ね、信じる気になったでしょ？信じなよ。マリアにお守りをもらったことを感謝しながら。あれがなければ、バトラは今頃倉庫の中。代わりに誰か一人が助かっていたかもしれないね。
Right then I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, the last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over.
じゃあ全然ダメだぜ、マリア。ってことなら悪いが、全然ダメだ。
When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her.
お前が傷つくだろうと思ったから、俺黙ってたけどよ。お前にもらったお守りよ。俺、ポケットに入れたつもりだったんだけどよ。どっかに落っことしちまったんだぜ。だから俺が今この瞬間に無事なのは、お守りのおかげでもねえし。なら悪いが、俺は自分の目で見たものしか信じねえ。第6巻？波長？魔法のセンス？悪いが俺はそういう眉唾なもんは一切信じねえぜ。クラスの女が霊感がいいの悪いのって言い出すのを聞いてると虫唾が走るのさ。あんたらがいくらじいさまに給料をもらってるか知らねえが、そう簡単にはいかねえってことをよく肝に銘じておきやがるってんだ。
I feel like he probably still does have the charm in his pocket.
バトラ様。
カノン君たちが信じるのは自由だぜ。だが、俺が信じるかどうかは、常に、俺が、悪いがこの目で見るまで、ベアトリーチェなんてうさんくさいものの存在を信じるわけにはいかないぜ。
I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then Maria started cackling again.
ならそれでいいんじゃない？いずれお前のような波長が全然合わない人の目にもベアトリーチェは見えるようになる。 もうじき蘇るんだよ。ベアトリーチェはね。そうしたら、一緒にいっぱいお話をしたり、遊んだりしようって約束してるんだよ。疑う必要も、無理に信じる必要も全くない。現れるんだよ。もうじき。
She's so creepy now. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom, while others prefer to relax a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. At the end, Aunt Natsui reluctantly rejected her order for everyone to remain packed into the parlor, on the condition that no one head out on their own or strayed too far. In any case, 11 people will shut up in the same room. Starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion, so no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went into a hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared standing there isolated and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do not like doing what they're told. That is super true. While the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor just as Natsui had told them to, and sat at the sofa near the entrance patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing with witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "Ooh, ooh." What in the world happened back there? I hadn't felt an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, it felt like I glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria.
確かに、マリアちゃんは魔女とかの話になると人が変わるね。昨日、海岸でバトラ君も見たでしょ。サソリのキーホルダーの時か？いや、あんな機嫌を損ねるみたいな感じじゃなくてよ。まるで二重人格みたいな感じで。
ああ、たまにそういうこともあるな。さっきマリアが魔法陣の話を始めた時みたいなやつ、たまーにあるぜ。気持ち悪いけどな。
So no one's even talked about this before? This seems pretty significant. Apparently Jessica had spotted that hee Maria a few times. I just so happened to catch it at a bad moment. I was pretty freaked out by seeing it the first time.
あれってのは何なんだ？マリアは二重人格か何かなのか？それとも本当に霊感が強かったりとかして、そういうのに憑依されたりとかしちまうのかよ。そういうのじゃないと思うよ。バトラ君にも経験ない？小さい頃、自分以外の誰かになりたかったなんてこと。
When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different than other people. But since everyone else in their class is learning the same thing at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is start breaking the rules in what's called a rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them, calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves if you look at it this way. Alright, I'm going to end here today, guys. Yeah, it is... Maria's super creepy now. yeah, I'm just like waiting for like, I feel like in the evening, what's her name should be able to. I feel like she's stronger in the evening. She's done the sacrifices. She should be able to be seen by Battler and those by that time. But I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, that's kind of my. Let me see what tips they have here. Oh. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart two who are close. Okay, so it looks like this next night, I think that the two who are close, so that would be Ava and Hideyoshi. So I'm gonna guess that they are torn apart. Could be other people, but that is kind of my guess. Maybe Ava's gonna cheat on him or something. I don't know. Some options there, but yeah, just guessing. But yeah, it's starting to get good. Really creeped out by Maria, and I can't wait to actually meet Beatrice in this. So, but yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll have another one of these up very soon.